Chapter 1. We were not supposed to land here. The planet was, by most measurable standards, a disappointment. Zornax had read the preliminary reports 3 times during the journey and each time had arrived at the same conclusion. Earth was a mid-tier rock orbiting an unremarkable star, populated by a species that had discovered agriculture, antibiotics, and nuclear weapons in roughly the same geological eye blink, and had spent considerable energy since then arguing about all 3. The Galactic Evaluation Council had flagged it as a Category 4 concern, advanced enough to eventually cause problems, not advanced enough yet to know it, and dispatched a 6-member observation team to make the final determination. Destroy or preserve. Simple enough. Zornax stood at the forward observation panel as Earth filled the screen, blue and white and quietly spinning, entirely unaware it was being watched. He clasped his hands behind his back the way he had practiced in the mirror before departure. He had a speech prepared, something measured, something that conveyed the gravity of their mission while inspiring confidence in his crew. He turned to deliver it. Liptak was eating something he had found in the storage compartment that was not, as far as Zornax knew, food. Velor was staring at the planet with an expression that Zornax could not immediately classify. Krixath had a checklist. Fomble was pressing his face against the observation glass. Gruvesh was sitting in the corner with his arms folded, radiating displeasure at a frequency that Zornax had long since stopped trying to measure. Zornax delivered the speech anyway. We stand, he said, at the threshold of a consequential moment in galactic evaluation history. Our mission is clear, our purpose is singular. We will observe, assess, and report. We will not interfere, we will not engage. We will remain invisible to the population below and conduct ourselves with the professionalism expected of. It looks wet, Gruvesh said. It is 71% water, yes. I hate water. You have expressed that previously. I'm expressing it again. Zornax took a slow breath and returned to the observation panel. We begin our descent in 10 minutes. Bip, please confirm the cloaking sequence is engaged and the landing coordinates are locked. Bliptak looked up from the thing he was eating. The first one yes, the second one mostly. Zornax turned around again, mostly. The coordinates are locked. There is a small variable in the trajectory calculation that I am confident is within acceptable. Fix it. Fixing it. Bliptak set down what he was eating. It left a faint scorch mark on the console, which Zornax decided not to address, and began working the navigation panel with the focused energy of someone who was absolutely certain everything was fine and would continue to be fine and there was no reason for anyone to be concerned. Velor drifted over to stand beside Zornax at the observation panel. Up close, Earth was extraordinary. The clouds moved in slow spirals. The sunlight caught the ocean at an angle that produced something Velor did not have a word for in his native language. He searched his recently downloaded English vocabulary files. Beautiful asterisk, his translator offered. He filed that away. What are they like? He asked quietly. Complicated, Zornax said. Contradictory. The reports suggest they are capable of extraordinary generosity and extraordinary cruelty, sometimes within the same afternoon. They have produced art, mathematics, philosophy, and something called a deep-fried bacon cheeseburger, which I understand to be all 4 of those things simultaneously. Velor continued looking at the planet. I would like to meet one. You will not be meeting any. We are observers, we do not interact. Of course, Velor said, in a tone that meant nothing of the sort. Fomble had abandoned the observation glass and was now standing at the secondary console, pulling up every available frequency from Earth's communication networks simultaneously, cycling through them with the manic energy of someone who had just discovered an entire civilization's worth of content and had approximately 10 minutes before descent to absorb as much of it as possible. His eyes were very wide. They have, he said mostly to himself, an enormous amount of footage of small Earth creatures doing unexpected things. The creatures appear to be called cats. There are, he paused, counting an incomprehensible number of these recordings. Why does no one study this? This should be studied. Zornax said. There is also something called a meme. It appears to be, I'm still determining this, a unit of compressed cultural meaning delivered through image and text. Very efficient. Remarkable, actually. The compression ratio alone. Yes, Captain. Strap in. Fomble strapped in, though his eyes never entirely left the screen. Crixath appeared at Zornax's elbow holding the checklist at a precise angle. Captain, pre-descent protocol requires verbal confirmation from all crew members that their stations are secured, their equipment is stowed, and their biological containment suits are calibrated. We are currently 0 for 3 on those confirmations. Thank you, Crix. Protocol also requires. Thank you, Crix. Crixath made a small sound that was not quite a sigh. Sighing was, technically, a protocol violation during active mission phases, and returned to his station. Gruvash had not moved from his corner. I want it noted, he said to no one in particular, that I objected to this mission from the beginning. The planet is wet, the species is erratic, and the preliminary reports describe something called a mosquito, which by any reasonable standard of evaluation should have been sufficient grounds to classify Earth as a Category 1 non-starter and move on. Your objection is noted, Zornax said. It's never actually noted. It is noted internally. That's not nodding, that's ignoring with extra steps. Zornax opened his mouth, closed it again, and turned back to the panel. Descent in 6 minutes. 6 crew members, 1 ship, 1 planet, 1 very straightforward mission that would go, he was certain, entirely according to plan. Bip, he said, trajectory status. Excellent, Bliptak said, with the confidence of someone who had just finished fixing one thing and had not yet noticed the other thing. Coordinates locked, descent angle nominal, cloaking fully, oh. The ship lurched. Not dramatically, not catastrophically. Just enough, a slight wrong tilt in the descent angle, a minor cascade through the stabilization system, a sound from somewhere in the lower hull that Zornax had never heard before and immediately did not like. The lights flickered once. Fomble's screen went briefly to static. Crixath grabbed his checklist with both hands. Oh, Bliptek said again, quieter this time. Bip. So the variable I mentioned. Yes. Was slightly less within acceptable parameters than I initially. The second lurch was less polite. The ship corrected, overcorrected, and then made a sound like a very large instrument being played badly before settling into a new trajectory that was, by Zornax's immediate calculation, 37 degrees off from their intended landing zone. New coordinates, Bliptek said, pulling up the map with the focused calm of someone in the middle of a controlled situation that was mostly under control. We are now descending toward, he squinted, a flat field adjacent to a small human settlement. Population approximately 4,000. There is a large commercial structure near the town center. There is a water tower. There are several roads, it appears to. Fine, Zornax said because there was nothing else to say. Land us. Landing. The ship came down in a field off Route 9 at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, disturbing approximately 4 acres of unplanted soil, 1 sleeping family of groundhogs, and the dreams of a farmer named Dale who would spend the next 3 days telling people about the lights and not being believed. The cloaking system engaged on impact. The ship became, to any outside observer, invisible. The landing struts deployed, 3 of them. There was a long silence inside the ship. Bip, Zornax said. Yes, Captain. How bad is it? Bliptak pulled up the damage report. He read it once. He read it again. He set it down and looked at the ceiling for a moment. The cloaking system is fully functional, he said. The navigation system is fully functional. Life support, communications, weapons, all fully functional. And the propulsion system is not functional. Another silence. Define not functional. We cannot leave. Gruvash unfolded his arms. I want it noted, he said at a volume slightly higher than before that I said. Noted, said everyone simultaneously. Zornax stood very still for a moment. Then he picked up the ship's manual, a document he had never needed before and had brought purely as a formality, and began reading. He read for 4 minutes. He set the manual down. There is a component, he said. In the lower stabilization assembly, it needs to be replaced. With what? Crix asked. According to the manual's cross-reference with human commercial inventories, Zornax paused. He read the line again. A specific gauge of copper wire coil and a regulated capacitor. Both are available at retail level on this planet. Where? Velour asked. Zornax looked up. He looked at the map on Bip's screen. He looked at the large commercial structure near the center of the small town. He read the sign on the front of it from the ship's external camera. Bargain World, always more for less. There, he said. Fomble made a sound that, in his species, indicated profound and immediate excitement. No one else shared it. Outside, Mountain Valley slept. A dog barked twice on Elm Street and went quiet. Sheriff Hank Briggs drove his nightly loop around the town square, saw nothing unusual, and went home. A light in the sky that 4 people had noticed on their way to bed was already becoming a story, the way things did in small towns, quietly and inevitably, like water finding a crack. In a field off Route 9, 6 aliens sat in a broken ship and contemplated their next move. Groovash looked out the window at the dark and the mud and the distant glow of Bargain World's 24-hour sign. I hate this planet, he said. No one disagreed, but Velor, still looking at the lights of the town, said nothing at all.